the duel between Sardaco and Yamato finally happened. Yamato, having only played the game for 2 months compared to Sardaco's 20 years, did not win the duel. Sardaco, I feel like, took the duel way too seriously for someone who's been playing the game for so long. Someone who has the advantage of having played battlegrounds for years, having played arenas for years. It's absurd to seek out insane advantages. He had an alliance player mind control him so another alliance player could give him blessing of kings. He had all these pets. Like, it's just that's just a little lame when you're dueling against somebody who's been playing for 2 months. Kind of quite pathetic. It's insane. Like, Yamato, it's impressive that he ever agreed to any of this. This all started with drama to do with the tribute chest, which is where the different races in the guild, Tauren, Orc, Troll, and Undead, they get gear, and then that gear gets distributed however that race wants to do it. And the Undead every week has major drama with their loot. And it just happened again. The Undead voted to have Yamato duel or Makara or go into the arena. And Yamato wanted to Makara Sardaco. Sardaco didn't really want to do that, so it ended up getting switched to Sardaco and Yamato dueling, and the loser has to survive in the arena. It ended up being 7 minutes, and Yamato agreed to that. Like, Yamato originally wanted to just do a Makara, but he agrees to these insane terms of this, like, dueling best of 5 to where he stands almost no chance of winning, and then basically having to just completely sacrifice his character to the Guru Bashi arena, which is insane. Like, these terms are insane that Yamato ever even agreed to them. So we all knew Yamato would end up having to survive in the arena. I thought they would have done way more layering than what they did, but we'll go through it. So what you see before you, they're all there. They're kind of waiting for Yamato to start his 7-minute timer, go into the arena. There's no real hit squad. Like, there's a defense squad to protect Yamato. So they do what anyone should have expected them to do. I know this looks like a pretty identical image, but Yamato and Tyler and about 10 players switch layers. Tyler doesn't go into the arena, but Yamato and these 10 players go in and start the timer. Now, everyone else having to switch layers was like panicking. What layer are they on? But when you have experienced players like Zico, they quickly find what layer he's on, and everyone switches over pretty quick. Pretty much within 2 minutes, this like 200, 300 players is now on the layer that Yamato's on. But about 2 minutes had elapsed. So they had all the time in the world to go in and take out Yamato. Now, you'd probably want to go in with a bit of a plan. Like, you know Yamato is going to be there. You know he's going to have a group protecting him. Tyler 1 made that very clear that that was going to happen. And you would need a group to even have a solid attempt to take out the entire squad protecting Yamato. But you don't really have to, right? Like, characters have stealth. Characters have ranged abilities. You can go and just try to snipe Yamato out and escape. That's incredibly risky. And some players did try to do that. Shobek and some other guy. But it didn't go very good for them. Shobek lost his character. I was expecting a lot more roaching out from Yamato. I was expecting like multiple layer swaps. I understand that there's some kind of cooldown, but I was expecting like Yamato's here, then he takes a summon to the other side of the arena, then to the other side of the arena, and then like some slippery thing where all of a sudden I was expecting him to take a summon outside of the arena. I don't even know if you can do that, but I was expecting him to get summoned to where all of a sudden he's like in the zone of the Gurubashi arena, but he's not actually in the arena. And like some kind of weird decoy, maybe someone with a similar looking name run a rogue in there just to try to bait people into jumping in. And some of the streamers were upset by this and complaining about this, being like, he's a coward, he layered. How was everyone not expecting way more layering and shenanigans and him doing things to protect his character? I was expecting far more. I was expecting all kinds of craziness, like chain summonings somehow into a portal out. I was expecting far roachier behavior from Yamato and Tyler 1. I was actually quite impressed that Yamato was in there for over 7 minutes. You can see the timer's at 7 minutes and 33 seconds, and you can see the red bars at the people standing in the arena. Like, he still has to run out. Like, it's almost like 8 minutes. I'm not sure if he could have taken this summon to Grom Gaul. You probably don't want to because there's like a Zeppelin there. Like, someone might be summoning you to fall to your death. Again, like, I've played the game a very long time, but I'm not even sure. I guess you'd have to be in a group with them, so they probably wouldn't be doing that now that I think of it. But, yeah, I was expecting absolute extreme levels of roaching out. But yeah, I feel like the roachiest thing done by anyone here was Sardaco by having all these pets. Like, he just has everything imaginable. And then pets, like, kind of lame. The whole idea, I feel like, of having this, like, rogue versus warrior, you can use anything, is super lame. Because a lot of these buffs are just always going to benefit warriors so much more, as having a giant health pool is going to help warrior against against the class like rogue way more than it's ever going to help the rogue with the warrior, right? Like, it's just having that giant health pool is just so insanely beneficial for a warrior. So kind of pathetic on Sardaco's part, but you can't blame him because he stands to lose his character. And you can't blame Yamato for doing these roachy type behaviors because he stands to lose his character. So does Ozzy and all the people there who are willing to, like, help protect him. You gotta understand that there is, like, very little time if Yamato loses his character for him to re-max level and get geared and attuned and stuff to be able to do the raid, right? And you also need to think about, like, people were criticizing Yamato for getting emotional about losing the duels. You have to understand, like, Yamato's not like a huge streamer. He joins this guild not being familiar with the game, not being even, like, close with the other league players who are also joining this guild. Like, him and Tyler had never talked prior to them both being in this guild. I know Yamato had, like, talked to, like, Dantes, but Dantes hasn't been in the guild for, like, a month. So you have this, like, smaller streamer who all of a sudden is making content on a consistent basis with Tyler 1, who's just basically, like, the largest gaming streamer in a major sense, right? Like, besides these goofy there's people who play some of these who play games as a large portion of their content, and they become like mega successful, right? There's people like Ninja, these streamers where they're just kind of these like, I don't know, goofy. They're going for a kid audience. As far as like a real kind of hardcore gamer who's playing like actually competitive games, and it's like a totally different style that Tyler One has. Of the style of streams that Tyler One does of like competitive gaming, he's the best. He's the most entertaining. He's the funniest. He's the most intense. He is the best, right? A top streamer, if there ever was one. And you have to understand the enormous pressure that's on Yamato. Enormous pressure here. All of a sudden he's getting a ton of attention. Even with the Pirate Software drama, where most people side with Yamato completely, even that is a way more exposure than he's ever had in his life. Right? And then all of a sudden he's in this big duel. He's a centerpiece of this huge guild event, which involves several other huge freaking streamers, right? Like, who's on your screen right there? Soda Poppin'. There's Summit. There's tons of these streamers, and it's all centered around Yamato, who's a small streamer, right? Like, you got to understand, hey, maybe this guy who's agreed to sacrifice his character, which is heavily tied to the content creation that he's doing, that far exceeds, as far as I know, any content that he's ever done in terms of like viewership, attention it's getting, like and he's going into a losing battle against the guy who's played the game for 20 years, who's taking it uber seriously. Like, the streams of Sardaco preparing for these duels, were lunacy. For a guy who's been playing for 20 years, going against the guys who've been playing for 2 months, it was lunacy. He had, like, every member of OnlyFangs. Not every member, but, like, 30 people coaching him, giving him advice, giving him tips. Now, Yamato took it seriously too, but not even to like 1/5 of the extent that Sardaco did. Sardaco was like, comparing notes, sleepless nights, acting like, it was everything. Going full ego mode, right? Because, yeah, Sardaco would have got roasted for weeks about losing this duel, right? Like, it would haunt him for a while. But it wouldn't be like it ultimately would be kind of like meaningless. Like, imagine someone that sweating that hard to go up against you at a game you've barely scratched the surface of playing. You've never done a battleground. You've never done an arena. It's bonkers, right? It's like if you played League of Legends for 2 months, and then you're playing Tyler One. Well, maybe not to that level. Maybe that's gassing up Sardaco a little too much. What would be a better comparison? I don't even know. It's like if you were going up against a like Grandmaster tier player. Let's be generous to Sardaco there. Or let's say Diamond. A Diamond one trick, you're going up against them on their one trick. And you've only been playing the game for 2 months. You're going to get clapped. You're going to get clapped to the moon and back. To put that pressure on yourself with all these other pressures on you is very bold and very brave. So these people like calling Yamato a coward are just out of their minds. Because to have these people like Zaryu and Zico say, oh, well, even if a group wanted to go in, they wouldn't have had time. 7 minutes, that's not enough time. Yamato was only in there 8 minutes? You mean we had to switch layers and then move in as a team? You can't do that in 8 minutes? That is lunacy. You have to understand, why would it make sense that Yamato has to do this in the most dangerous way possible for him? He can't reduce that danger slightly at any point. That's just completely unacceptable. What do you... in any hit squad that can form should have all the prep time in the world. They should be standing right there, have Yamato targeted, have all their spells, their potions, everything ready, grouped up, raid group, ready to pounce on him in a split second. Insane. Tyler 1 said it, that's what would happen, and Tyler 1 happened to be clearly right. It's so funny to see Tyler 1 repeatedly be more correct and have a more accurate analysis of what's happening in World of Warcraft than these people who've been playing the game for 20 years. It is so insane, because Tyler 1 said, yeah, if we stayed on that layer, Yamato walks in, he loses his character in 1 second. Where's the content in that? That's 100% correct. That is what would happen, right? And to act like these squads, like anyone who would have the balls to go in there to try to take out Yamato and his squad is probably going to have at least one player who's been playing the game for a long time. To act like 8 minutes isn't enough time to switch layers and to move in. Especially if you do have a hit squad, you've had anywhere from weeks to days to prepare. In 8 minutes, oh no. To the idea of a hit squad even existing, which no hit squad even did exist anyway, for them to exist, have all the prep time in the world prior to tonight, and for them not to be like, hey, what should we do if they layer and then he jump in? I don't know, we could never even possibly prepare for that outcome. That would be too outrageous. That would be impossible for anyone to ever possibly deal with. That's insane, man. That's just such a crazy lack of understanding of the game. You could give me 30 seconds. Maybe that's an exaggeration. By 2 minutes, hundreds of people switched over to this layer. There was 2 minutes had elapsed on that timer, and there was at over 100 people were on the edge of this arena, right? Crazy. So they all layered over. I'm sorry, but if I'm there and I got a squad of people, we would have been prepared for layering. We would have expected more layering, more craziness, more roaching from Yamato. We would have had at least a basic plan of what if he layers over. We would have switched to his layer and taken him out in 30 seconds. To act like this guy putting his character into the arena for 8 minutes is somehow, oh, he's a coward. He roached out. No, he didn't. He completely followed the rules. He put his character in enormous risk. If Shobek simply had just targeted Yamato instead of the other rogue, Yamato's character is gone. Now, Shobek's character is also gone in that scenario. But, why did no one else even go in? You want to talk about... It's so gross that, especially players who've been playing the game for 20 years, want to talk about content, but they can't step foot in the arena? What are you talking about? You're the content creators. This idea that, only Yamato and Tyler 1 and Soda Poppin' are in charge of content for the whole guild, that's not true. Even if they're the guild leaders. Even if Soda and Tyler are the guild leaders, are in charge, even if they're the boss, you're all content creators. You can do whatever you want at any point. Literally after Yamato leaves the arena, say, I'm going in. Everyone turn back. Like, this Yamato, we're going in anyway. We're going to fight this other group. Our hit squad's fighting their hit squad. Like, you don't need, like, this coordinated countdown to Yamato going in. We have all the... I'm going to go in with a hit squad and take months of people's progress away. But I'll only do it if I have all the prep time in the world. I have a squad of 40 people and we have infinite amount of time to prepare. Like, what? How? You had weeks. You had weeks if you wanted to prepare this. Jesus. It just makes me sick to see people like Yamato, who I wasn't even familiar with like 3 months ago, dedicate himself to this guild, dedicate himself to the content, provide the content to this guild in ways that genuinely outshine other players. Just like Tyler 1 has stepped up in a major way to provide, to make this so much more entertaining. Guys like Yamato, guys like Sardaco, well, to be fair, guys like Zico, who I've criticized, who I'm basically criticizing here as well, because a lot of this idea of, oh, it's not enough time. Like, if people wanted to jump into the arena, they had to, like, layer over, even though literally every player layered over at the 2-minute mark. They couldn't have possibly jumped in. Is so, like, insane to me. But Zico, him getting involved with this drama, hopefully he's not being serious and he's just spewing nonsense for the lulz, for the content, and he doesn't actually believe the words that are coming out of his mouth. I really hope that, because it's just insanity. But, like, you have these people, and I give more credit to the people who aren't very familiar with the game, putting their best foot forward to create quality content on a regular basis like Yamato has. And him just to get so heavily criticized and, like, dumped on. Now, Yamato does dish it out, and he can take it for sure. But at the same time, like, have a little bit of compassion for these people who are putting in a lot of time and effort, right? Like, even with Pirate Software, I feel like people are way too harsh. Even with Pirate's reaction to the drama being too far and being ridiculous, and honestly kind of funny in how ridiculous it is, I still think people initially went on him way too hard. I still say that he was kind of not entirely incorrect. And a lot of people were incorrect, because from Pirate Software's perspective, you have to understand that someone like Pirate Software, or someone like me, who played the game in vanilla, in Burning Crusade, in Wrath, like, played the game for 20 years. Now, I didn't play it consistently for 20 years. Like, I didn't play at all in WoD or Dragonflight. But I've played the game a very long time, and then the game re-releases in 2019 as Classic, and now they're on Classic Cataclysm. You've had things like Season of Mastery, Season of Discovery, Hardcore. That's someone who's a sweat at the game, if that's what you want to refer to an experienced player as, that it is a totally different experience. When you're playing through Classic for, like, your 5th time, meaning, like, you've basically played 5 or 6 different iterations of Classic, that it changes the way you play the game. When we played the game in 2019 and got to max level and did raids, it was different than in, say, like 2006 or whenever. It's a different experience, right? So you kind of get accustomed to playing, not like how myself or Pirate Software plays the game now in 2025 is different than how we played in, let's say, 2006. But between there, we played in 2019, 2020, right? And that there was a giant difference in gameplay. The people you play with create that difference, as well as you individually have gotten way better at the game. There's way more knowledge of the game. There's way more resources at your fingertips. You can get more information faster. Things like best in slot. Best in slot wasn't a thing when you played the game in 2006. Things like Discord didn't exist. Like, you had to use like TeamSpeak, Ventrilo, these far inferior communication. So when you play with these more advanced tools, these better add-ons in 2019, and you're playing with mostly sweats, and the game is optimized to all hell, you're playing in an environment where the game is hilariously, ridiculously easy. So then, I can imagine if you were to play in hardcore and you're playing with a lot of noobs, that's a hard adjustment. Because it's like you're playing, maybe not in 2006, because there are like, it's like the more tools, it's like if you were playing hardcore classic WoW, but with a lot of these people not having experience, it's as though you were playing that if it were released in like 2009. Because of everyone's that in your guilds, not everyone, but a fair bit of players, just their lack of experience with the game and knowledge about the game. But that's hard because you were just playing in, let's say, 2020 or 2021, where everyone had this giant wealth of knowledge. So you're used to playing in an environment and with people where if they say run out, they mean run out. They're not a noob like Yamato who barely has stepped foot in Dire Mall. Your mindset is, I'm playing with people who have sweated this game just as much as I have or more than I have. Right? Like, if you played classic WoW, you probably understand what I'm saying. Like, you're playing with, you're seeing things in the game that just impress you constantly because you're like, holy crap, when I did this in 2006, this was difficult. And there's people doing this and that, and this game is optimized to all hell. So you kind of get used to this idea that everyone I'm playing with is an extreme expert Giga Chad sweat at this game. So you get conditioned to think if a roach out gets called, it's going to be by a very well-informed Giga Chad of this game. And they're saying, freak out, run out, save your character by any means necessary. Right? You kind of, maybe it slips your mind that who's saying this is a noob who's been playing the game for a month and a half. Like Yamato. Right? So when Yamato says, run, 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 you take that as, holy crap, I need to freaking roach out instantly. You kind of forget this person doesn't really know what they're talking about. That this isn't nearly the emergency that it is believed to be. And if I were to hear that, I would expect people to be like doing crazy stuff, hearthing out, like the total doing things to put themselves potentially in danger, right? Like it's this idea that like it's going to be this coordinated walkout, everyone's going to play perfectly. You're not going to just expect that at the same time, right? Because someone's calling, because your mind is also going to be like, all right, but this is hardcore. Wow, I lose my character if I don't do the right thing. And you kind of, so you're making a split-second decision. And I get it. Pirate could have used his mana gem. He could have made it so he had more mana. But you have to also understand, he's low mana. He hears panic. He probably forgets who's telling him to panic. He turns and he blinks. So now he's low mana. Now he's even lower mana. And now he's teleported his character further away from where he would optimally be to save other people. Now he's kind of like dedicated to roaching out. So for him to then once again turn around and what? Stand there and wait for the mobs to come to him? That's a tough sell. And for him to turn around and blink towards the mob, an even tougher sell. Right? So it's like, yeah, you can have expectation that he not roach out, but you also screamed at him, run, 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 run. A guy whose most recent, him playing the game, for the most part, over the last 5 years, is in the form of mostly everyone he's playing with is an experienced Giga Chad who knows everything about the game. And so why I'm focusing on this is because context matters. The context of situations matters. So when you have these people like spurging out and people like arguing and trying to call people out, trying to call them like cowards and stuff. And I don't expect Yamato to get anywhere near the backlash of like pirate software. Because to me, Yamato did nothing wrong here at all. And I think any rational player, any rational person can see that, and any experienced WoW player can see that. And like nobody cares about this. I literally popped back on Twitch tonight, and no one's even talking about it at this point. So I think people understand. Incredibly brave of Yamato to go in there, risk his character, be in there for 8 minutes, when he's probably never even like really been in this arena before. Like, you have to understand, this guy is new to the game. He thought his character was 100% gone. Probably halfway through his duels with Sardaco, he's like, crap, my character's gone. What am I going to do? I'm not going to have time to level another character to be in this raid. Like, I put in all this effort. It's worked well for me. I'm making content with Tyler 1. This content, this drama is blowing up and people are kind of taking my side. This is kind of like cool. I get to be a part of this really cool thing. And now it's all gone. Like, that sucks. Like, that really, really, really sucks. So him jumping into this arena and being in there for 8 minutes with like a 95% chance that he's not coming out of it is bold. Because I didn't even expect him to ever even step foot in the arena, right? Like, he had every opportunity to not be a part of any of it, right? Like, Tyler could have said at any point, you're not Makarang, you're not going in the arena, this ain't happening. That at any point could have happened. Yamato could have made that happen, right? And he didn't. And he was in the arena for 8 minutes. So anyone who has any problem with that is just out of their mind.